Hi Year 4, today is Monday the 1st of February and this video is for the children who have the Year 4 comprehension booklet. We'll be working on page 32 today. It's the last page in your comprehension booklet for book 1. So we'll have a look at what your task is for today. Before we start, I just want to say well done to Liam. For completing his comprehension work last week. He did a fantastic job and it was handed in every day last week, so well done Liam, keep it up. Okay, before I start, there are some new spellings that have been set this week. Now you can log on to Letterjoin or Edshed to learn those spellings because we need to make sure that we're having our spelling test on each Friday at the end of the week, so make sure that you're practicing them. Okay, to warm your brains up today, we're just going to have a look at identifying some synonyms for 3 of the words that we're going to be using for today's text. So very quickly, the definition of a synonym is it is a word which has the same meaning but is spelt differently or appears differently. Okay, so underneath I've got an example for the word hot. So I've written 4 different synonyms for the word hot. So boiling, blistering, scorching and searing are all examples of synonyms for the word hot. So they mean the same thing. So I would like you to try and find a synonym for the word mysterious, parcel and discover. So I want you to have a think, write them down and have a good go. If you need to, I would look them up online and there will be lots of examples of different synonyms for those words. Okay, before we start, today's learning question is, can I create my own comprehension text? And we're looking at key features of a diary entry because today's text is in the form of a diary entry. So we've already seen this cheat sheet to help us to identify the key features of a diary and a diary entry. Now we should all be experts at this because you've all had a go at writing a diary entry at some point this year when you've been in school, whether it's been with me, Miss Chafe or Miss Colclough. So a diary entry is usually written in the first person, so you're going to use first person pronouns such as I, we, me, us. You're going to make sure that you've got detailed descriptions. Now, a lot of you have been using noun phrases, you've been using adjectives, you have been expanding on your sentences, and you've been using things like similes in your work to add detailed description. So make sure that you use your 5 different senses. So you've got touch, taste, smell, hear and see. So make sure you use those 5 senses. Make sure that you show me how you feel and not tell me. So everyone knows, if you have me for literacy, that when I ask for show not tell, I'm asking you to say, instead of writing Miss Prince was very upset, you could say Miss Prince had tears rolling down her eyes, her mouth wasn't in the usual smile that she had when she taught year 4. Okay, so you can write a description and you can show how someone is feeling without having to write the actual emotion. Okay, so have a go at that. Diary entries are usually written in the past tense, so it's about what has happened in the past. So let me show you, in the past, not the future. You usually include things about self-reflection, so that's thoughts, feelings, opinions and hopes. So you might say in your diary entry, I really liked the chocolate cake that I had for my mum's birthday. It was delicious, it was so dreamy, it was rich, I loved it. It made me very happy, or it put a smile on my face. So there you've used self-reflection to explain how you felt about having the chocolate cake, okay? You are going to make sure that you write your diary entry in chronological order. Now, when we write in chronological order, we usually use time connectives, time conjunctions, fronted adverbials. So they are phrases and words such as then, next, therefore, the next day, 10 minutes later, all of a sudden, okay, the next day, or tomorrow I will. So have a look at how you might include those when you write your diary entry. You're going to use colloquial language. That's another way of saying that it's informal. It's very chatty because the only person that's going to read your diary is you. No one else is going to read it, so it's personal to you, which means it can be informal. You can use things like can't, won't, shouldn't, wouldn't, as opposed to cannot, would not, should not. And it's also going to follow a diary style. Now, you all know the features of a diary entry include starting your entry with Dear Diary. You also know that there is usually a date or a time included to show you. So very similar to an autobiography in the respect that it has time points in the text to help you identify when and where something's taken place, okay? So if you need to take a screenshot of this, so then when you go to write and look at the comprehension text, you've got this sheet to help you when you come to have a go at creating your own comprehension text. Okay, so if you've opened your book already and it's turned to page 32, you will see that you have not got a full text or any questions. And that is because it's your task today to write a diary entry for the text of the mysterious parcel. Now, we're going to split this text over a few days this week because it's the final text in your comprehension booklet and I want us to take our time. So think of this as your big piece of writing that you do when you've learnt about a book. Okay, so think back when you did the description for Iron Man. Think back when you did your diary entry. Think back when you did your explanation text for varmints. This is going to be your big piece of writing that you do at the end, but we haven't got the planning aspect. So we're going to have a quick go of brainstorming today, and then your task is to write the diary entry. So it's about a mysterious parcel. So have a think, and we'll move on to the next slide and I'll show you some different ideas that we could write our diary entry about. So I've had a quick brainstorm myself and I've come up with 3 potential ideas that you could write in your diary entry. Now, you don't have to use these ideas, these are just to help you to come up with some of your own. So if you feel like you need to have a mind map like this one and explore lots of different ideas, then that's fine. If you want to use one of the ones on the board, that is also fine. Just try and make it as interesting as possible and try and make it different to what everyone else would write about if they chose the same idea. So I thought the box could be a portal to a different universe, and in your diary entry you could write about going inside the box and exploring this different universe. It might contain a key, but you don't know what the key is for, so it could be that you have to find out and do a little bit of research about the key. It could open and have an animal that could talk, so I've got a talking cat on my board, but it could be a dog, it could be a snail, a tortoise, it could be a leopard, it could be anything. Okay, so I've got 3 different ideas there. If you think of something else, that is fantastic. So I've chosen one of the ideas and I've started to write. So I've had a quick think about what I'm going to write about. Now, normally you would do a plan. If you need to do a plan and write down bullet points of what you're going to write about, then that is something that I would recommend you do, because you want to make sure that when you write this text, it makes sense and that it follows in a chronological order. Okay. So I'd sit very carefully and have a brainstorm about what could happen, what might happen, and how you're going to write the rest of this diary entry. So everyone has the same piece of writing in the black font, and then I've written some more. So I've carried my diary entry on in green. So I'll read out what I have written and see if you can pick out any key features from this diary entry that I have done that was included on the cheat sheet earlier. So, dear diary, the strangest thing happened today. I came downstairs to find a mysterious parcel waiting for me on the kitchen table. I decided to take a closer look. Slowly I stepped towards the brown battered packaging and reached out. I tugged at the grey string tied around it and pulled. The box burst open and out shone a bright purple beam of light. I carefully put my hand into the box and it disappeared. I screamed out in shock. I didn't know what to do. Now, I've just read this and I can see I've already made a mistake. I didn't add my comma after my fronted adverbial. So you need to check that you're proofreading your work after you have written the piece of work. Okay, because I haven't there, and when I read it I realised I needed a comma, so please check that you're adding commas in the right places. So different features that I can see that I have done. I've written in the past tense, and you can see that I've done that here because we usually write words ending in ed, and that shows us that it's happened in the past. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to pick out is this letter, this word. So this letter and word is a first person pronoun, so it shows that I have written in the first person. I have also included this feature. See if anyone could, oh, let's not have that colour, you can't see what I'm highlighting in that colour. See if you can identify what this is. Oh, what might that be an example of? I've got two things and then something else to make an expanded something. I've used things like exclamation marks because it's informal. I've also used a contraction of the word did not to didn't. Okay, so if you can identify key features like I have in your work that you know need to be in a diary entry, then you've done a great job. Okay, something that I could do, so I'm reflecting now, is I could actually add some more temporal conjunctions to the front of my work because I've actually used I, 1, 2, 3, 4 times as my sentence starters. So maybe the next thing that I should do is when I've read my writing is go through and add some more fronted adverbials to make my sentences more interesting. Okay. So after you have written your text, I don't want you to do anything else in today's lesson because I want you to make sure that this piece of writing is the best piece of writing that you have done whilst you've been at home. Now, some of the challenges that I had been doing in previous lessons did involve you to have a go at doing some sort of writing yourself. So if you did those challenges, fantastic, you will already have your brain switched on for doing some writing, okay? Have a go at brainstorming ideas before you start your write. Write your piece of work in pencil because then you can go back through and edit. I will be offering feedback for children to add certain things, or they might need to change certain things in their work. So please have a go and send it in to me because we want to make this the best piece of writing that you have done. And it'll allow me to make sure that you've been making the progress that you need to make. Okay, so we'll use this as a little check-in point to see how we've got on. So as a final piece for this lesson, to end this lesson off, I want you to think and reflect on proofreading and editing your diary entry. So this will involve me reading and marking your work and giving you feedback, and then it will involve you following up on the feedback and making the amendments that you need to make sure that this piece of work is a fantastic piece of writing. So can you proofread and edit your diary entry? Have you made sure that you have got capital letters and full stops? Have you added emotional language? So have you shown me how you feel as opposed to telling me? And is the text in a chronological order? So after you've written the text, I would go through all of those questions before you send your work to me. So try and improve it and edit it before you send it to me. Use a different coloured pen or pencil to show me the way you've edited it, so I can see that you've already gone through it yourself, and then send it to the Year 4 email address. I will be giving shout outs to the children that have done fantastic pieces of writing, because I think if they deserve to be spoken about, then they will. Okay, if you have any questions or you are stuck, please contact us using the Year 4 email address and we will get back to you. And for Tuesday's activity, we will still be looking at page 32 and 33. Okay, so do not worry. You're just doing your writing activity today, and then we're moving on to a different activity on Tuesday that includes the text that you have written. Okay, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.